Welcome to the Diablo podcast. This is your host Flux. I'm joined on the show this week by Xanth and Junior Mint. This is actually part 2. This is show number 99, big number 100 coming up tomorrow with a Blizzard developer interview. I'm excited about that, but as I record this, it's show 99. This is the second half of show 98. In that one, Junior Mint and Xanth and myself spoke about our recent Diablo 3 playtime and speculated about some cool stuff you might see in the expansion and features we want changed. That was the main topic of the show. The ending of the show, actually, was just going to be talking for a little bit about Xanth's recent job offer from Blizzard and his visit to the campus and the interview and all that exciting stuff. However, the discussion went a little longer than planned, so I'm splitting it off into a second show, which you are about to listen to. You can hear about Xanth's near employment with Blizzard, what he thought of when he visited the campus, who he met, what he saw, what he did, what he didn't see, what it's like to be offered a job at Blizzard, and a lot more. And he has a brand new column up this week talking about that as well if you want to read it in written form, and this is the verbal supplement. So listen and enjoy that, and we'll be back with more podcasts quite soon. Bye-bye. Blizzcon takes place in Irvine, California, which is not far from Blizzard, and I believe you were in Irvine, California not so long ago. Xanth, why don't you tell us how that came about?
Well, the short version is there was a open position for Diablo 3 for a community representative.
I thought you were going to be the game director. That wasn't it?
Yeah, surprisingly, I never heard back on that one.
Did you have your own pirate hat?
I do.
Well, I don't know why they didn't hire you then. Anyway.
There was a open position, and I just kind of thought, why not? I'll give it a shot, and had a phone interview, and then they ended up apparently liking me and decided to fly me out to interview in person.
So you applied via their website?
Yeah, I think I saw it on
in the first place, or LinkedIn or something, or I mean, back up a little bit on that. People who've never done it before.
Yeah, there was I forget. I saw it on Twitter about the position, and directly to their website you have to upload your resume and like salary history and a cover letter and stuff like that, and then I think a couple of other little bits of information you have to type in, but aside from that, most of your work is done by having a resume, and then you just kind of hit submit.
And in your resume, you mentioned, who you are in the community, and you're working on a Diablo 3 fan site, etc. That was part of your pitch.
Actually, no. I kind of just included that in my cover letter. I'm a regular, out of the Diablo community. I'm just a teacher, and my main resume is a teaching resume, and it goes with what I've done. So all my work experience and stuff like that would seem out of place with the Diablo fan site stuff. So I really just made it a point in my cover letter to address what I have been doing, and to kind of make it known that what you're going to see in the resume is different than what I do, but this is my professional experience outside of that.
And I think a lot of what they do in looking for new hires, especially for community management stuff or interactions, PR kind of positions, is enthusiasm and interest and involvement in the community.
Right.
As we know, the new hire for the Hearthstone community manager is I'm forgetting her name, but she's the cosplayer who did that female monk costume that was the big winner at Blizzcon like 2 years ago.
Oh, that's great! I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I did also send in a picture of myself as the female monk as well.
That's good. We'll post that on the podcast site.
I got to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously skills in leatherworking and making a female monk costume don't really translate directly to Hearthstone community management, but being a really big fan of the game and going to BlizzCon and being passionate about their product does.
Right.
And I think that probably helped you as Xanth. They didn't want necessarily a high school teacher is not their top of their list for community manager requirements or skills.
Right.
But being able to interact with obnoxious, childish assholes probably helps. That certainly is a plus, right?
Yeah, I would imagine.
I mean, that's really just practice for Diablo Twitter right there.
Yeah, I think that definitely helped. When I went into it, it was one of the things that I kind of just thought, what the heck? If anything, I can get a rejection letter from Blizzard, have the corporate seal on it or whatever. I never.
And so you applied, and so how long was it between your application and when you started getting the phone call, and then when you went to visit?
I think I applied, and then it was about a month before I ever even heard anything. Just kind of, I'd almost forgot about it. It was our spring break at the time, and I got a phone call. No, I didn't get a phone call. I got an email about setting up a phone interview, which I thought was cool. But it's always hard to kind of represent yourself over the phone. So I just kind of thought that was just like, oh, well, they're just kind of doing lip service. We'll interview the guy over the phone, and there's no way he can be that good, so he'll just not get it. Because I assumed they would just be drawing in other people in person. But apparently it went well, and then about a month later, I got another email asking about travel plans to come up there.
So on the phone, was it Jay Wilson or Mike Morhaime?
Neither.
Neither. So you mean the game directors don't actually hire the community manager people? They have other things to do?
Surprisingly, I guess they have a whole team for community management.
So you talk to people who no one listening to this would know who they are, internal employees and such.
Well, Lilyria was there.
On your visit.
Yeah, well, she was there on the visit. She was there on the phone interview, and basically every interview.
Well, there you go. So obviously she is the head of the Diablo 3 community team. So
yeah, she's pretty integral there. And to be honest, not paying lip service or anything, I think she's done a lot of good things, and then obviously opening up lines of communication, stuff like that. But
they allowed her to speak during almost all the meetings when I was there at our fan site summit too. She was, piping in, so it wasn't like, she's not just the blonde girl who could sit in the corner and arrange things.
Right.
She was offering input and such.
Yeah.
So are you still waiting to hear from the actual in-person interview, or?
No. Yeah, I got flown out to Blizzard. Never gone to a Blizzcon or anything like that. It was a amazing experience to kind of get to see the campus and get to see how things are done, and just kind of get to see, I don't know, to see where everything's made that you've had a passion for. And had the in-person interview. It was very informal, very laid back, and the whole campus kind of has that atmosphere. And as quickly as I got there, I was gone back home, and it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks later that I got the phone call informing me that I got the job.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Thank you.
However,
where I'm at currently, to kind of go out to California and leave my family and everything like that, it just wasn't as attractive as an offer as what I needed. So I did end up having to turn it down.
Wow.
So because you have a wife and a young son.
Yeah.
How old is your son now?
Yeah, a son, a house, all that stuff. A little bit of not a hindrance, but it definitely, like if I was 22 and fresh out of school and didn't have anything like that, I would have not even hesitated. But where I'm at right now, I needed something, and I didn't get it, so I couldn't go. But it was possibly one of the more difficult decisions I think I've made in my life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I was completely enamored with everything I saw and just the people I met and the entire experience, and to turn it down was tough. And it's still one of the things that I can kind of look back and go, ugh. I know it was for the best, but it was definitely very tough.
Was there nothing you could do to work from home, to do any community management or anything like that that wasn't available?
That's one of the things that you kind of got to lift behind the veil and see a little bit about what community management is. And, you're in direct contact with everybody who's working on the game and relaying information and taking that information, distilling it, getting it back to fans. And it's not something that could be done remotely because maybe there's a pressing issue that you're noticing that you can shoot off an email to somebody and they may not check it till 5 at night or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but
sure.
You can go there in person and kind of address it. So no, there's nothing that could be done remotely. That would have been the ideal situation, but no.
Did you speak to them about possibly getting a replacement family? Do they have those available for new hires in Irvine?
They have relocation services. They don't have replacement families. Although Southern California, no, sad, but very.
What is the over-under on how many years, anytime there's an argument with your wife, you'll bring up, I stayed with you and the baby because I didn't want to go, because I couldn't go to Blizzard and get my dream job? 20 years? 25 years?
I think so. I mean, I feel like I can hold on to that for a while, right?
I'd say
I
anytime
mean,
there's an argument, you have the upper hand, no matter what. I stayed here and didn't go to Blizz for you.
You know,
well, I'm sure that'll lead to long-term marital harmony. No discord there.
I think if I've learned anything in my several years of marriage is to just kind of not touch those kind of issues. But it was a great experience to kind of get out there and to see that, and it's flattering in and of itself to get the offer, to be in the position to make the choice. Because I mean, when I started the whole process, never even thought I had a chance.
And do you know anything about who they're going to hire, or if they'd hired somebody else? Or
I have no idea. I mean, I wish them the best of luck. I think it seems like it's a great starting position, a great place to move up. And that was one of the big things that really enticed me about the whole company is where you start is not where you necessarily end. And a lot of people work themselves up to bigger and better things. Just because you start one place doesn't mean that's where you're going to end. And they do a lot of in-house training and workshops and stuff like that for you to work on things that you're trying to get to. And, that's really awesome.
they'll reimburse your college courses if you take night classes.
Yep.
And they have training and everything. So yeah, I mean, what we saw just recently, Travis Day, who's posted, he's kind of heading up the whole items thing in Diablo 3. He started off in QA and moved from there to community management, and then he went back to QA or tech support or something, and now he's one of the lead developers on Diablo 3. So
right.
So that could have been you, Xanth. All because you had to get married and have a baby.
I know. The other thing too is California is expensive. It's a lot more expensive than where I'm at. So that was another kind of detriment to the whole process too, was the price of everything. Could we have tried to make it work? Possibly, but what sacrifice has to happen for that to actually work out? That was the biggest thing.
If Blizzard had a dormitory on campus, you'd have been fine. But real estate is just so much more expensive in California.
Right.
Did you meet any of the development team at all, or was it just a community team you met with?
I was supposed to interview. Wyatt was supposed to be in on my interview, but he was sick that day.
I see.
Was in some ways good, because I felt like I would have done one of two things. Either I'd have been really nervous during the interview, or I would have asked him more questions than he would have asked me, and that probably wouldn't have been good either. But it was a good experience though.
Yeah, I bet that was really neat.
So can you talk about anything that you did during the interview? You mentioned you had a project to work on, or is that confidential stuff?
Yeah, I don't think I can talk about that.
But I mean, just in general terms, like they said, if you're a community manager, here's a problem, how would you solve it, that kind of thing?
I didn't get any questions like that, aside from, just like, dealing with malicious people and stuff like that on the forums, like what would you do type of thing. And then just kind of creating pitches or creating ideas for things to bring to the community. Nothing major, but one of the things I actually suggested, and I feel like I can talk about this just because it's kind of started to happen, was energizing the base and kind of going to the fan sites and trying to increase communication with them. Because if you put the message out to the fan sites who are already dealing with people who care about Diablo news, and you rile up the people that they're talking, that their message is going out to, and you start to create more passion for the game within the community that's already caring about it.
Yeah, that's something we talked about a lot when I was there. I mean, they're trying to really work on that, and people have asked in comments, why hasn't anything happened with that yet? And I think a lot of them had the week off last week, or the second half of the week off, at least, with the July 4th holiday on Thursday.
Right.
There were no forum posts by Vayflare or by Lyleria. Right. So I think probably this week they're going to maybe start rolling out some of that stuff that we were all planning on talking about.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they are. And one of the things that I had talked about, and I'm sure we all kind of feel the same, is Diablo has a different mix of fans than what a WoW or a StarCraft does. It seems like there's more vitriol in the Diablo 3 community than in the other two. And that's a daunting task. And how do you ease that, or how do you distract that?
I think there's a good amount of crossover in the WoW and Diablo thing, and the WoW and Diablo community definitely StarCraft. I think is a different animal, but you talk about the Diablo community, and I go on these forums, and anytime like I read a forum thread that it's like, "What's your biggest disappointment?" or "What's your biggest regret in gaming in the past year?" and they're always like Diablo 3, Diablo 3, and I just think about, I think it was something you said, Flux. It was like, was Diablo 2 at launch as good as it is now, like as good as it is as people remember? And of course not. And I just think people forget that. And it's like Diablo 3 has come really a long way from launch, and all these people, jumping on the internet bandwagon saying it's the worst game of 2012. It's just makes me shake my head.
But now it's 2013, and it's been 2013 for 6 months.
Right,
so.
yeah. I just mean the worst game that came out in 2012 or whatever.
Yeah, but I think that was an argument to be made in 2012. I always wonder how many people who, this game sucks, why do you still play it stuff, haven't played the game since like last July or August or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people just, it wasn't D2.5 when it came out, and it had a lot of problems with the end game and the gear check wall in Inferno. And people were like, "This sucks. I'm never playing it again." And there's, for some reason, but the weird thing is that they're still showing up to complain about that.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
That's what we've often pondered in the past, and perhaps Xanth has gotten insights into that, given that he's been inside Blizzard and all that now. He knows how they think. But I mean, it's just, I think people quit playing like yourself, Junior Mint. You quit playing World of Warcraft, what, like 3 months ago? You said 2 months ago?
Yeah, about 2 months ago.
How much of your day is spent going to World of Warcraft forums and telling people who still play it that they're idiots?
To be honest with you, I have not gone to any. I have stopped going to World of Warcraft fan sites.
So what do you think happens with people who used to be fans of Diablo, that they continue going to fan sites and the official forums 8, 12, 16 months later, and still, why does this game suck? Why do you still play it?
Yeah, I agree. Most people do that. Yeah, I
don't think most people, but I mean, it's
a
weird.
good amount. Yeah.
Yeah, as you pointed out, it's a different kind of community. And we talked about this on previous podcasts, that it's just weird that people have such a, maybe that's a testimony to the quality of the previous games, that people got that close of a reaction to it. They really cared. If a new Call of Duty comes out and it sucks, people are like, oh well, another one will be out in a year and it'll be different.
Right.
But it's like Diablo 3, they had so much of a freight of expectations from 11 years of development time, and then Jay Wilson and the console ruined everything.
It's just like people think it's like the cool thing to do, to go on the internet and say Diablo 3 sucks, when it's like come a long way and it's really fun.
Yeah, I think it's got a stigma about it, and I think you're right, Flux. That a lot of those people that are saying that haven't played in a long time, and are judging it having not experienced it in a while. To see the growth and to see the changes and to see that the game, I mean, I enjoyed it at launch, I enjoyed it now, but to see the development of it. And you're right, like a Call of Duty, that's not going to change. But this is a game that we can honestly say is completely different from where we got it last May.
So, have you been enjoying the secret Blizzard employee 500% magic find bonus since your visit, Xanth? Were you able to enable that? And the new banner pattern is really nice too, I think.
It's not working too well because I'm not a billionaire yet, unlike some people.
But you like the new pattern, right? And the special purple angelic wings you get for having a Blizzard interview. That's a really rare pattern. The achievement unlock on that is awesome too.
Yeah. Like my screen just exploded with color. I actually can't use it because it's just too bright and awesome. It's distracting.
So, how was your first visit to Blizzard, Junior Mint? Did you enjoy it, and did you meet anyone exciting there?
Oh, I never went to Blizzard myself. I would very much love to, but I've never been there.
Well, they have job openings. Perhaps you could apply and see how that works out. Do you have a wife and child, by the way?
No, I don't. It's just me right now. So.
Oh well, so the odds are still open for you then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this has been kind of inspiring. I have to start applying for jobs there.
Yeah, well, all you need is 5 years of experience in a AAA title that you've launched, and it's not hard to get that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, any other thoughts about your Blizzard things, Xanth? You obviously enjoyed the experience, even though it didn't work out exactly as you hoped.
Yeah, like I said, when I first applied, I had no inkling that it could lead to anything. And when I got the email about traveling out there, I was elated at just that thought. I was barely able to sleep the night before because I was excited. I set up a tour before the interview. To kind of, soak it all in, because I was going to only be there for such a short amount of time. I wanted to kind of enjoy what was there and kind of get to see everything. So being able to kind of duck through the hallways and, waiting outside of rooms because they had to get clearance if I could go into certain areas because they're working on so many different secret projects. Was really cool to kind of see how it's all getting put together, and to know that there's a bunch of stuff that is only being spoken in hushed whispers, or they're hiding from certain people, and then to actually get to walk into the Diablo area and kind of go around and to look at stuff. And when I was there, they had all the art up for when they were doing all the different armor sets still from back in when they were releasing them slowly several years ago. But like just the wall of all the armor sets was up, and just kind of being able to see that was really cool. And then the different rooms and everything, it's really easy to get kind of sucked into the culture there, because it's very friendly, it's very inviting, and it's one of the things that it would just be really easy to kind of imagine yourself being there, because it just seems to be very employee friendly. I didn't see anybody. It was it was a Thursday morning, and you see just people just walking around, smiles on their faces because they actually enjoy what they do. It's not like a regular 9-to-5 type job. It's working on video games that you care about and you're passionate about.
How long ago was it that you made that decision?
It was right at the end of May.
So it's been a little while at least.
Yeah, it's been about 2 months, a month and a half or so.
Just when the scab had healed, we're ripping
Right.
it off here. And you've been trying to get clearance to talk about this ever since, so it's not like
Yeah.
we would have done this podcast a month ago, but
When you go in, you sign an NDA, and I think that was the big thing, was in talking about this, to not reveal too much or anything like that, and got the clearance. So I just think it's one of those things too that I think I had a student recently who just graduated and was interested in getting into video games, but had told me, and he doesn't know I write for the site or anything like that, but it told me, you know what, like, there's no point. I'll never get a job in it. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, I just had an interview with Blizzard, 2 weeks ago. You could easily do this. It's something that I think if you're passionate about, you can find your opening, and to not just be discouraged by what you think is out there, and what you think is a possibility and what's not.
and you don't have to be an experienced coder or a fantastic artist. There are other openings and opportunities. So.
Yeah, there are other outlets there to get you in the door and get you what you need. And it seems really to be more about the person than necessarily about where you graduated or what degree you have.
Well, that rules out most of us. So. Usually to get the degree than to be the person in many cases.
Right.
So did anything secret you saw? Can you say, oh, I saw this amazing thing, but I can't talk about it, and just to torture people?
I'll just lie. I saw this awesome thing. No, I didn't. I think with an interview, I did get to do the tour and stuff like that, but nothing secret. I was trying, because there was a lunch part of the interview too, where it was myself and all the other community managers. Trying to get information out about different things, but they were very tight-lipped about it. You could see smiles when they were, because they know everything. They have, was it once a quarter, they do show and tell.
Yeah.
And, they get to see what everybody else is working on, so they know everything. And I'm just very impressed that they're able to keep that all in and not talk about it. But I was doing my best to try and get little bits of information out. Didn't get anything. Because they're too good at their jobs.
Did you consider taking the job for like a week just to find all the cool stuff out and then quit it?
That's the way to do it.
Just long enough to see Titan and Diablo 3 expansion and Lost Vikings 3 and everything.
Yeah, get my ID, just go around to the different buildings, and like, hey guys, what you working on? Write it down, and then
I'm sure they just tell some random community manager too.
Right, exactly.
So was that a yes or a no? That was a no.
That was a no. Yeah, nothing secret, but it was very apparent that they were working on some secret things, because they had a bunch of stuff draped over different things, and there were certain rooms I wasn't allowed to go to, and even I had to get clearance into the Diablo room. So I figured
They didn't take us at all into the Diablo area at the Fansite Summit.
Really.
We just walked by the hallway, And they said there's too much stuff on the walls. You can't, they didn't want to take all the artwork for all the D3X stuff down, I assume, and just said no. When I was there 2 years ago before BlizzCon, they let us go through those areas.
Okay.
And there's a couple of places like Bashak said, don't look at stuff on this wall too closely, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like they had the monster wall, they were calling it, that he actually posted a photo of, but it was from like a really oblique angle. But it had like it just had like the little render of every monster in the game, and we hadn't seen Act 4 at that point yet at all.
Right.
This was like before the launch. So I think it was 2012, or I guess it was 2011 BlizzCon when I was there before that. So it was like a year before the game came out. So they said, you can look at this, but don't take any pictures of it and try to forget. So did the Jedi, forget. This is not the wall you're looking for, kind of thing. Whenever they announce whoever they've hired for the additional Diablo 3 community management, are you going to refer to him as Sloppy Seconds in all of your Twitters?
More than
and lord the fact that you could have had his job over him constantly?
Absolutely. And then
okay, good. I recommend that.
And then the site gets blocked.
Wow, that would never happen.
No, I don't know. It would be weird, to find out when they do hire somebody, but at the same time, I turned it down, and that's something I'll live with for the rest of my life.
And so will your wife.
Yeah, I know. One of the cool things, did you do this at all, Flux? Like when you go in and you're waiting in like the main building, the 3 computers that they have set up with all the video games on them?
I didn't play in them, but I saw one had World of Warcraft, one had StarCraft, and the login screen was set up.
I got there so ridiculously early that, because I have no concept of time and how long it's going to take to get from the hotel to there or whatever it is. I was able to play for about 20 minutes of Diablo just sitting in the waiting room. I really liked that.
So you got to play your own character on the machine? Or?
Yeah, you just log in and then play.
What if you had lost your hardcore character while waiting for your interview? That would be a story to tell.
Yeah, it was something I was hesitant about. I played it safe at that moment.
Well, you would have gotten the special Blizzard employee restore character thing option.
Well, I would have, just walked
clearly,
across, just walk across.
Yeah, because when they play at work, they never die, so it's much easier that way. And the 500% magic find bonus could have been really useful too.
I would have just walked across the street and been like, "Hey guys, I just died. Can somebody take care of that?"
I think it's alt. It's just Alt Control F7, and it restores your character. It's automatic 1 minute block.
Nice.
You can dupe stuff with it too, though. That's how they all get so rich. That's how they support themselves outside of the game. Okay, I'm sorry, we're probably joking about this. Probably somebody's like, "What? Really? What?" Well, anyway. So, any final thoughts on the whole thing? You're glad you did it? And
yeah.
You recommend it to others?
It's one of the things that I'm not ruling out as a possibility in the future. It's just currently where we're at this juncture. It just doesn't work.
So if they called you back tomorrow and said, "We're going to add 25K to the job offer," would you be in Irvine in 2 weeks?
I don't know. But the big thing, it was a great experience, and one little joy I got was I missed a phone call, so I had to call them back, and Deckard Cain is the automated response on the phone.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you call Blizzard and you don't even get a ring, all of a sudden you get "Hello there," and it's just what? Amazing.
Okay, I guess we've gone long enough. Any final thoughts? We're good. We're waiting for BlizzCon, and neither of you guys are too horribly disappointed that we're not getting anything until November-ish or later.
No, I feel like I've got enough to do in the game that I don't even have a Paragon 100 yet. Yet alone a level 60 Demon Hunter, 3 more to go.
Well, your Demon Hunter will obviously get to Paragon 100. They're a really strong class.
I don't doubt it.
Don't die with that wind force I gave you either.
Well,
what act are you playing the most of, Xanth, since the monster density?
Act 1.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
I haven't stepped into Act 3 outside of the little time that I've been there with Flux last night.
When I was charging your Demon Hunter through freebies.
Yeah, I do need 57 to 60. So I don't know what you're doing later.
Well, I could have done it last night, but you had to go off quickly.
Well, yeah.
Probably that life of yours and stuff.
Yeah, it just gets in the way.
It's funny. You were 51, and I said I can turbo you a little bit. I had nothing to do for half an hour, and I said, do you have a good bow? Because I have one you can use at 55. You're like, yeah, you had some 750 piece of crap you bought, reduced level requirement
right.
thing. And I have in my stash for a while since I found it. I have a wind force that's 1260 or something.
Yeah.
And level 55 requirement. No socket.
Wow.
It doesn't really have any value in the world. I mean, you could buy that for probably... Well, actually, with the reduced level, it might be kind of pricey. But I mean, it's not really worth selling,
No.
because I'm a billionaire, so not much is worth selling anymore.
Just fun to hold
But
on
yeah,
to.
yeah, but I'm just, I'm just it's sitting there. It's level 55 requirement. It's like 1260 with a wind force. So, thinking of it, remember like last July or August, what you would have done for that item?
Oh yeah. Well, nothing because I
It's like,
wasn't playing a demon hunt.
yeah, but I mean, I remember being just stunned to find. I remember just grinding forever in early Inferno, trying to get to 1,000 DPS weapon with a demon hunter. I was like, oh my god, anything. And I
Yeah.
finally found a rare that was like, I still remember it was a 1053 on a rare bow, and I used that for like 3 months of Heart of Inferno, and I was like overjoyed to get it.
Well, I think it's funny because obviously
And that's not even good enough for hell now. I mean,
Yeah. No.
comparatively speaking.
I think it's funny that like I've been playing hardcore from the start, so I have every dead character I've had since the beginning, and my first one died early on in the stages of hell, maybe like June after release, and I can go back, I can look at his gear because if anybody listening, and if you're still listening to this at this point after me talking about myself for this long, congratulations. But if you go into the two tabs between the Hall of Heroes with your living and your dead characters, you just switch them real quick. You are able to inspect your dead character's gear. And being able to go in and look at my old character's gear, it's amazing that I thought I could even survive with that stuff. It's stuff that you wouldn't even pick up right now, that I was trying to get by with because that's all you had. And I thought I was doing all right.
Yeah, I was watching videos around. I started listening to this podcast around the 1 year point, and then I started listening to. I was watching. I was listening to the 1 year anniversary podcast, and so then as a result, I decided to start watching videos from around the time the game launched, and people doing Inferno videos with like 10K DPS, and it's like it's crazy how far it's come.
You can also look on a site like our Diablo3ladders.com, and it will show you all of your characters ever, including dead hardcores. You can look at their full gear on that if you don't want to do it in game. I've actually comparing. My former monk died at 61 Paragon, and my new one just got to 62 yesterday. So I actually went and was looking at them, side by side, seeing what's different and how have I re-equipped, etc. And it's funny to see, how I've got more EHP now for one thing. That's something I learned. I've got less DPS and more EHP intentionally. That was definitely my plan.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
and
monk
that's
is
only a
such
couple of
a
months ago, but
it's such a fun class, monk. That's my newest obsession in the game is my monk. I wish I had played that from the beginning, really.
okay, we've gone long enough. I may have to do this in 2 parts and just save the Xanth interview thing. And you're writing a column about that as well, Xanth.
Yeah,
It'll be up before this is posted.
yeah. As I'm looking at it, I think I'm going to put it out probably on Wednesday. I want to add in some pictures and stuff like that, and just kind of fine tune it. And I got to send it to Blizz too. So, but yeah, I'll probably put it out on Wednesday.
Okay, well, you guys can. I can't say look forward to that because you'll have seen that before you hear this,
Right.
but it'll be available also on DiabloInkGamers.com.
Absolutely.
And you can all make comments about how Xanth made the worst decision ever,
Yeah.
and laugh at it.
I can definitely say the one thing that this whole experience has done for me is it's just kind of reaffirmed what I've been doing, for almost 2 years now, and that's writing for this site. If I didn't start writing here, I probably would have never even had that opportunity. And just being able to kind of do stuff like this, do podcasts, and to write is an amazing experience. And to the best of my knowledge, we haven't taken on any new writers or anything like that since I've started, really. And
Well, we don't need them. You cover
well,
everything.
clearly,
Hint, hint. I'd be interested.
Well, if anybody wants to send a column in or start doing a column, we'd be happy to take them. I've run, help wanted things a few times, and you always get lots of people who are really full of ideas, and you say, okay, start doing it. And like a month later, they send back and go, it's really hard to actually do it when I'm trying to do it.
right.
So it's very easy to get people who volunteer and want to do stuff, but then actually getting production from them tends to be a lot more difficult.
I think the biggest thing is setting a realistic deadline for yourself, and then also not getting discouraged when things don't work out, and just kind of mapping out your ideas. Like I think I have 3 columns right now that I'm working on simultaneously. Obviously the interview one and a couple others, and somehow I've managed to write about hardcore for 2 solid years now, and I don't see it ending anytime soon.
Unlike hardcore characters themselves,
Right,
sadly.
right. That's my longest living character is the column. And especially right now, because we're entering into one of the best modes, and that's speculation. In about 2 more months, the columns are just going to shift to pure speculation about what the expansion is going to hold.
Yeah, the podcasts were much more fun during the beta and be a pre-game. Well, okay, not much more fun. They're still fun now, but I mean, when you can just, when the world is your oyster, your hypothetical oyster,
Right.
it's like, everything is awesome and shiny and new, and before the real money auction house ruined everything.
Right.
We had all this fun to talk about stuff. So
Right, and I think I think back to when I started writing, because I started writing in August, about 2 years ago, and I was thinking, oh, the game will be out by October, November, and 3 months of speculation, and it'll be great. And then obviously it comes out in May. To have been writing for that long without having anything to go off of. So now I'm not even worried about not having any new content. I've done enough writing, without having anything to go off of. That having the game and then speculation is just great.
yeah, it's gonna really be fun after BlizzCon. I know some things that they're working on for the expansion that I can't really talk about on the podcast at least. And and many things I have known nothing about that are going to be in the expansion, obviously. But I mean, I think we're going to really have a lot of fun once that's revealed.
Nice.
All this stuff, all the itemization, everything else that we want to talk about now. I mean, obviously, even have a new character class. I mean, we don't know anything about that. Just how is this going to fit into the whole ecosystem, and what niche is he going to fill, and do you want to play the new one, and all the new gear stuff. I mean, we can kind of imagine like better uniques, and a little bit more on legend. Legendaries having better stats, legendaries doing a little bit more interesting things, but the whole major, overhauls of things that we don't know anything about yet. We're gonna be like, oh my god, runes are coming back. Jewels. I mean, whatever. Those aren't predictions. I'm just hypothetically.
Right.
I mean, you look at from Diablo 2 to Diablo 2 expansion, how much I mean, runes didn't even exist in Diablo 2. There were no jewels.
Right.
Limited socketing. No Act 5. No guest monsters.
Yep. And then obviously the new character classes too, and
yeah, no one liked them anyway, so they don't matter.
I love the druid.
Oh yeah, it's an oversight.
I think the whole rune system in general was just a great system. I love not having to go back to a skill trainer and just switching out skills on the fly. I think that's one system that just worked out perfectly.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
but hopefully in a few months we can do a really fun BlizzCon podcast or two, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys there.
Oh.
Well, you never know. You never know, Xanth. Maybe you can finagle an invite.
Yeah, hopefully.
Did you guys try to buy tickets, or you just don't even bother?
I have a trip I'm supposed to go on that's like 2 weeks after. So in terms of like travel funds, being able to kind of swing out to California is just not in it right now.
Because Nineball goes every year, pretty much. He's going this year. We have other podcast guests who have gone. I mean, Wolfpack's been to 2 or 3 of them, and Eliminator was at one last couple. So
I think the hardest thing is like being a teacher too. You don't get like my summers. Yeah, I'm totally free, but in the middle of the year, definitely not.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to get out there.
Behind the whole process of buying the tickets is a nightmare too. I a couple years ago tried to do it, and I was there at the moment, hit refresh, and I was at, I don't know, I think number 10,000 in line. And that part's really difficult.
Many people I know that go, you can buy 4 or 5 each person that gets a log on. You have 20 people in your guild, and you all try to do it. And if 4 of you get in, you can buy 20 tickets. So it's really tough to do it by yourself. It's much better if you have some friends.
Yeah.
If you have 4 people who want to go, you all try to do it, and then you get 8 tickets total, and you can divide them up or whatever. So, or just put them on eBay for $500 a piece.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Okay, guys, we've gone long enough. Any final thoughts, or we should sign off?
I'm good.
Well, thanks for joining us, Junior Mint. Long time. Hopefully it won't be until next September when we hear you again.
Yeah, hopefully not.
That's only 2 months. That's not saying much. Yeah, you can come back for V1.12 since you were last here at V1.14. So every 4th version you can hop on. And enjoy going back to World of Warcraft and begging and crying and wishing you could stop.
I will not be going back at least until the next expansion. That's the soonest I'm saying I might go back.
So you've
then.
already rationalized that you're going to go back.
I said I might go back for the expansion just to level up. I'm not going to go into the rating and everything again. That ruined that. No.
Like an abused spouse, you keep going back no matter what happens.
What if they email you tomorrow and say you'll get a free Sparkle Pony if you come back today?
Sparkle Pony.
No, definitely not.
But it's a pony that sparkles.
That's very tempting, Xanth, but I don't need sparkling things right now.
Says the man with the Diablo 2, Diablo 3 collector's edition wings on his necromancer.
Oh, I wish I had those.
Which
I
doctor,
keep
whatever it is.
trying to find those. That
No, Xanth has that. He runs around with those little wings on all the
I
time.
know.
If I'm
I wish
going
I
to have
got
them,
collector's
I'm
edition.
going to
Really.
use them.
It's really awesome when I'm playing with him when he gets knocked back by something, you know, a boss. I'm like, look at him, he's flying with his little wings. It's so cute.
Just in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I think you should get more hang time when you get a knockback when you have the wings on. You just sort of flutter there.
Or not get knocked
Okay.
back at all.
Okay, we're digressing badly here.
Yep.
Okay, you've been listening to the Diablo podcast. We are online at DiabloInkGamers.com. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Moo. Moo, 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 moo. All right, so what is it that you know?